business, and I believe, Sean, you're going to give us an update on some business there from city staff.
Can everyone see that screen okay?
Yep.
Not bad. Yep.
All right. So what I wanted to do is give folks here on this committee a little bit of an overview as to where we're at in the city of Merritt and what the trends have been. Because a lot of what this committee is going to do, of course, is figure out what tactics and what programs could be implemented, what priorities we should do to overall increase and generate economic activity in the city. But I think that taking a step back and taking a little bit of a macro look as to where the city currently is and what the trends have been is a really important component of that. And so on this, I'm going to share a few excerpt slides from a presentation that went to the council as part of their budget process, but I really think they're quite relevant for this committee as well. So what I have up here right now is showing the municipal taxation split from 2017 to 2021. And what you guys will notice is this blue line here, that's non-residential tax. So that would be your commercial and your industrial properties. And then you've got your residential tax. So what is really obvious with this is in 2017, a much greater share of Merritt's taxation was borne by industry, commercial, non-residential taxes compared to residential tax. And that has gradually shifted. And there's a few different explanations for that. The most obvious one, I think you guys would probably be able to guess, is the loss of Tolko as a huge employer and major industry. So this is in taxation terms, but taxation is often one of the best kind of data metrics that we have to be able to pick up on some of the trends that are happening in our community. Another trend that you will see in this 2017 and 2018 number, we actually had full taxation from Merritt Green Energy at that point as well. But 2019 was when the entirety of their tax revitalization exemption kicked in. And so what you're largely seeing in 2019, 2020, and 2021 is a portion of that tax. So here, 100% of their municipal tax was not payable. Here only 75%, here it's 50%, next year it'll be 25%, and in 2023 they'll be paying full tax again. So, you know, it was a program, and it's one of the ones I'm going to talk about here in just a moment, kind of designed to encourage people to set up in Merritt, but it has very real implications for taxation and for the community as a whole. So is anybody surprised by this shift in residential to non-residential, or is this something that you would have expected just from your experience?
Well, I think we expected it with the Tolko being gone, but this is the first time I've seen the actual impact on a graph. So, yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about this from again, this is a municipal macro perspective, and it will just help you understand some of the policy that council is really trying to implement and staff is trying to support right now. So this gives you an idea of the impact of $1 million worth of assessment in each class. So as you can see here, for $1 million of assessment, major industry brings in a huge amount of taxation, utilities, of which Merritt Green Energy would fall into that category. When Trans Mountain brings pipeline through, that would fall under this category. Light industry, we have a fairly limited amount of light industry currently in the community. That's something that we'll talk about here in a moment, down to your business class, down to your residential. So what that is to say is when you're talking about kind of taxation and who bears the brunt of it, the more intensive the use tends to pay more significant taxation. And so when you're talking about growth, we're talking about growth across the board, but there may be incentive, and that's part of what this committee will certainly have input into, is how can we target or encourage certain types of businesses? What is it that we can do to drive further growth in major industry, utilities, light industry? What's the overall strategy that needs to be employed? And what I can tell you is, this is just another graph that kind of shows much of the same. You'll see 2017, 2018, and 2019 is this downward trend in terms of all of the non-residential forms of taxation. But you'll see that utilities was quite large. 2019, utilities shrinks to just about nothing because that's when, as I said, Merit Green Energy came on board. But you'll see the continuous decline in heavy industry as well as Tolko. They actually started their shutdown process in 2016, but it took them a period of time to fully decommission the site. And so that's why you're seeing more and more come off of the heavy industrial side. So what this means is, of course, I'm talking in the language of taxation, but this is jobs, this is dollars flowing in the community, this is contractors that are impacted as well. And so we are very much in a position right now of working to build and rebuild this non-residential class so that we are going to be able to support a healthy community for a lot of years into the future and kind of reduce or minimize that residential burden. Part of that as well is we are a fairly low density residential community. And so as on a per unit basis, you can bring down your residential taxes through densification. But that's another conversation for another day. So as far as initiatives that are currently being considered by council, I've got here a list of light industrial mill rates in particular that show a number of communities and the mill rates that they charge for light industry. And as you can see right now, Merit is currently at 28.7958. One of the things that council has actively been promoting and working with staff to try and find ways that we can attract more light industry to Merit. Light industry is kind of a sweet spot in that it's good for the environment. It tends to be high-paying jobs. It's often got smaller concentrations, so meaning that one business may not employ 250 people like mills have historically done, but if you bring in a number of light industrial businesses that all employ 25 different people, you can really minimize the impact of shocks to your economy by virtue of one of those businesses struggling. So light industry really is an attractive proposition, but we've heard from many people, and we've been successful with some in our conversations, but we've heard from others that Merit's tax rates overall just aren't as competitive as they ought to be in the light industrial category. And so we have ran a fair bit of analysis, and given we don't have a lot of tax space in the light industrial class right now, one of the strategies that is being proposed and is before council as part of this upcoming budget process is to reduce the light industrial tax rates from that 28.79 mill rate down to 20.427. This is just a sampling of communities here, but what that would really do is put us kind of right in the middle of the pack for light industry tax rates for a lot of our neighboring communities in the Thompson and Okanagan regions. And we feel that because of a lot of the other strategic advantages that we have in Merit, like most namely the location, but availability of land, cost of land, that with the tax rates that we have, if they do drop to that roughly 20 mill rate, we're going to be very competitive with other communities to be able to more aggressively attract light industry to the city of Merit. So that's part of kind of the macro side as to what is happening to try and encourage more growth. Can't see anybody anymore. Okay. Is that still showing the screen or is that off now? I can't see.
It's off, Sean.
Okay, thank you. So does anybody have any questions about what the overall kind of strategy is? And again, this isn't 100% finalized. This is still going through the budget process. But any questions about what council is trying to do to attract more industry to the city of Merritt? There's some other initiatives on the go as well, but this is largely the tax rate portion.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I guess the Barkman plant will be up next year. That'll help. And is there something, they're different, I've heard different options for Tolko, but nothing firm yet. And so I assume that'll fill in at some point.
Yeah. What I can say is you're absolutely right. Barkman is progressing along very well. We're excited about their project in the city, and they've actually had a fair bit of input in terms of giving some feedback as to why they chose to locate in Merritt. And of course, yeah, location was a big one for them, but they were one of the ones that said, hey, we have some concerns about your tax rate here in the long run. I'm not 100% sure that this makes sense. They have applied for a tax revitalization exemption. And one of the things that we talked about with them was, well, would you prefer this tax revitalization exemption approach that you guys saw the direct impact and that's had on kind of the municipal balance sheet? But we talked with them and said, did that have anything to do with your decision in coming to Merritt? And the answer was really no. The example that they gave was, this is a lot like a cell phone plan where they give me, a discount for 6 months. Like, I don't care about the discount for 6 months. What's the plan going to be for the next 30 years? What am I going to pay? So what they really wanted to see was just competitive tax rates, and they don't care so much about the one-time tax revitalization exemption or something that would only last for a period of years. So one of the things that ultimately we would likely do is, once or if council approves that tax rate reduction, we would actually repeal the tax revitalization exemption that we currently have in place. And then the hope would be that we would work with this committee to tailor a more specialized tax revitalization exemption that would target the types of business and growth that council and really something that aligns more directly with the trajectory that this community and council wants to run in. And by and large, we've heard that that's how do we incentivize more downtown revitalization and development, and focusing the revitalization efforts on that front, because that will actually have significantly lower cost than trying to bring in the heavy hitters. And given the heavy hitters, by and large, it hasn't been hugely successful in attracting them. They've been more deterred by tax rates. So that's.
And Sean, if I can just interrupt for a sec, and by Sean saying that, right now, it's absolutely everybody that comes to Merritt has an option to be able to apply for this tax revenue revitalization exemption. But what we're trying to do is say, let's get some industry here, and they're the ones that we want to give this big exemption to, not so much everybody overall, and especially downtown. We need to have industry and business coming to the downtown area. And the other issue is that when we give an exemption, it does affect the residential tax. So not the rate, but the actual amount of dollars. So it does get shifted to that residential side.
Yeah.
I don't know if I helped or not, but.
It's perfect. And to follow up with your last question, Ron, is I know that there is, lots of conversations in and around Tolko, and the city is part of those conversations. And I do fully anticipate that there's going to be, a great opportunity that arises out of that for the city of Merritt. And not at a spot where there is anything firm right now, but when that comes, I think it'll be great for the community. And yeah, there's no question that is sort of a backbone parcel. It's the largest industrial parcel we have in the city, and so making sure that is developed with something that is going to be part of the city's long-term plans, provide a lot of jobs and growth for the future, is going to be really important.
Any other thoughts or comments from anybody? I just want to say that on what we're going to try to do with this committee as well, we want to give you the tools so we can make those decisions moving forward. So I really appreciate Sean giving us an update on the taxes and the situation and the kind of the dilemma we're in at the city right at the moment. We're at a crossroads where we've got to find ways to increase our industrial might and our light industry and everything, because that, as Sean has shown there, the tax burden is shifted. It's shifted from industry to residential, and that's challenging moving forward in a lot of areas. So we really need to find ways to get that industrial tax base up again. And so that's why we want to give you guys the tools to be able to understand what we're trying to accomplish here in the next couple of years. So, any other questions or thoughts or comments?
Tony, can I jump in again?
Oh yes, absolutely, Mary.
This whole idea of becoming industrialized cannot happen without us doing more housing starts. We have business and industry that is walking away because they have absolutely no place for their employees to come and live. So that's another thing that we have to juggle along with all of this is increased housing. That's it.
Good. Any other comments or anything on that piece? Sean, any wrap up on that, or are you good?
No, I think I think at each meeting we'll talk about something that the city is doing, give you some update as to what the overall plans are, and you're going to hear a lot more as to what has happened from Mr. George here at a later point in the meeting. But this was really just to give some broader context for, as you said, it's the dilemma, it's the struggle that the city's facing. Is there is declining industry in the city of Merritt, and there needs to be a full court press on how we can resolve that issue, because as I said, tax implications are just one part of it, but I'm sure all of you have heard stories or have friends or have experienced it yourself where you realize, hey, there's less high-paying jobs for a lot of the people that we know and love. And if you want to have a strong and vibrant community, it starts with attracting a lot of those jobs that are going to support a strong economy.
Can I just add one thing here? I just want to emphasize something that Mayor Brown mentioned about the housing and so on. And I think we really need to get across to people that we need housing options in Merritt that can spread through a broad segment of people who want to live here. It's absolutely critical to our success in bringing in more industry and also looking after our seniors as they start to age out of their present situations and they need other options to go to, as well as options for young workers to come to Merritt. So housing, I think, has to be a part of this conversation very much.
Thanks, Kurt. All right, any last comments before we leave that? The word that came to my mind as we're talking about it is we want to empower this committee to make some decisions and help us make some decisions, find ways to build out that economic piece, that industrial and commercial piece as well. So we want to give you, like I said, all the tools we can to get this done so next couple of years. So we're really excited about that. Anything else then, Sean? We'll move on to the next item.
No, feel free to proceed.
Good, thanks. Greg, you're up for a minute here to give us some rules, I guess it is, or?
Might be slightly more than a minute, and
Okay.
when you say rules, it's going to be a lot of vague implications, rather. So let's see if I can get the right screen up. I hope you can all see that there. So this is on conflicts of interest, which I hope you will all find very interesting. Sorry, is this actually displaying the PowerPoint? Or?
Yep.
Okay,
You're
great.
good.
So yeah, sorry about the pun, I couldn't resist, but I hope you're all very interested. So I was asked to give this a short-ish presentation. Arguably, the Economic Development Committee is one of the ones that you could expect would be most interested in this, because you all probably will be fairly well involved in what the community is, what the local economic activity is up to. So the first question is the rules that we're going to be talking about. Where do they come from? There's both primary legislation in British Columbia. This is the Community Charter, and then how that's been interpreted by some fairly important court cases, which tell you how to read the legislation. Do these rules apply to you? Yes. That is one of the clearest things I will tell you today. Yes, they definitely do. If you are one of the elected members on this body, then you're directly governed by Part 4, Division 6 of the Community Charter. And if you're a member of this committee, then you're automatically imported into that by Section 15.1 of the City of Merritt Council Committee Policy, which says committee members are subject to Sections 100 to 104 of the Community Charter. So all of these rules apply to all of you. So what are the rules? If you discover that you are in a conflict of interest situation, leave the room, leave the discussion, leave the voting, just get out of the whole thing. Don't try to influence anyone, don't talk to anyone, don't be involved in the decision in any way. That's the basic summary of sections 101 to 103 of the Community Charter, which lists some fairly specific provisions. It is essentially just if you are in a conflict, whether you have declared that you are in a conflict or not, you have to leave the room, you have to not participate any further, you have to not influence anybody. So if you determine you're in a conflict, back as far away as you possibly can and have nothing to do with it. If you don't do that, then the potential punishment is being disqualified from holding office until after the next election. So that would remove you from public life for up to 4 years, depending on when you did it. Please don't. So that's what to do, but arguably the more interesting section is, how do you know if you're in a conflict? And this one, I'm afraid, is where everything gets fairly fuzzy. The Community Charter says you have to decide, you have to determine whether or not you're in a conflict of interest situation. Staff here at City Hall will not tell you whether or not you are in that situation. We cannot take that responsibility away from you. The Community Charter says that you have to make the decision, and that if you make that decision and then you subsequently take legal advice that tells you you were wrong, you can reverse it. Unfortunately, although City Hall is fairly well representing the University of Victoria Law School, we have no lawyers on staff. So, as I said, we cannot do anything about this for you. You have to be the ones who make the decisions. So if you think you are in a pecuniary conflict of interest, which means that cash is related, or well, income of any kind, whether that's direct or indirect, or if there's any other situation that would be a conflict of interest, you declare it in general terms, so you don't have to give the specifics, you just have to say generally what the issue is, and then, as the last slide says, you get out. And then, as I said, if you take legal advice which says actually you weren't in a conflict, you can retract that declaration, return, and once you've retracted the declaration, you can participate fully. As I mentioned before, though, I should emphasize the rules apply whether or not you make a declaration. So even if you are sitting there quietly going, I know I'm in a conflict, but I'm not saying anything, you've still got to leave. So those rules always apply to all of you. And if you're trying to think about whether or not you're in a conflict, there's some case law that might help you out. So one of the most important ones here in BC is Schlenker and Togrimsen. That's a 2013 case about the Salt Spring Island Trust. There were a couple of trust committee members who were also directors of societies on the islands. They voted to give $4,000 to their societies, not to themselves personally. And the initial court said that that was okay because it wasn't going straight to them, but the Court of Appeal found this was an indirect pecuniary conflict of interest because a person cannot serve two masters and it would be unclear to the taxpayer who they were serving. In part of that decision, they approvingly quoted a 1990 Supreme Court decision from Manitoba, saying that a member of council is disqualified if the interest is so related to the exercise of public duty that a reasonably well-informed person would conclude the interest might influence the exercise of that duty. In other words, if you are somehow connected to, if the decisions that you're making as a elected member or as someone who's appointed to these committees is related in some way to something which gives you another master, another interest, then this involves you. And if you're wondering about how far removed you can be, there's some good case law out of Ontario about that, which looked at a situation of a real estate agent in Campbell and Dowdall. This was back in 1992. There's quite a long quote at the end there, but essentially the real estate agent was representing a owner of property who was trying to sell it, and at the same time was sitting on council, and there were various applications that were coming about this property. And the real estate agent, who was also a councillor, correctly recused themselves in that situation when there were issues about rezoning, and they said, this is tightly tied to, I am representing this property, I stand to benefit if it is rezoned because that will change its value, and so I have to leave. And the court said they were right to do that. But they also said that when that same property brought an application to allow the removal of topsoil, that would change the value. And so that was an indirect pecuniary conflict of interest. So that was a close enough link to impact them. Again, this is Ontario decisions, so it doesn't apply directly in British Columbia, but it's an illustrative of the sort of thing you might want to consider. It then went on to consider the position of a real estate agent generally. So this would apply to a lot of you as members of the business community, saying the broad proposition that a member of council who is also a real estate agent will always have a pecuniary interest in matters of land use. It would follow that real estate agent elected to council must refrain completely from participation in land use related business of council. Unless the business of a council is to be left to those not otherwise involved in business and commerce, it seems to me this proposition is too broad. It is unrealistic to expect competent municipal government and at the same time exclude the business community from a large portion of the necessary business of the council. So that gives you a clue that as long as it's just talking about general things, even in the area that you work, you're going to be okay. There needs to be some kind of a specific link to the issue that you're voting on. And then there are specific statutory exceptions here in BC, which are in the Charter, which say if it's an interest in common with the electors generally, that's not a conflict of interest, e.g. councillors can set the tax rates even though you pay property taxes. You can set council allowances even though that is your own income. Or if it is so remote or insignificant, it cannot reasonably be regarded as likely to influence the member. So again, even if there is a connection, if it is remote or insignificant, you wouldn't need to worry about it. So those are the things that you will need to bear in mind when you are making your decisions, which, as I said, I'm afraid we will not be able to actually give you specific guidance on. So if there's anyone who's got any questions or comments on that.
Mayor?
I just have one, Greg, and it relates to if you're telling everyone to get out, is there a process where they can get back in after the discussion has taken place?
Absolutely. So once the discussion is over, then they are absolutely free to return. If you're talking about, say, in virtual meetings, then we would need to develop some kind of a process, like say, okay, as you leave this meeting, we'll take you someone, we'll send you a text, we'll send you an email or something. That's not really covered by the legislation, but absolutely, as soon as that item is over, then the member is more than welcome to return.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else with a question or comment?
Interesting, you used a realtor as an example.
Yes, I'm struggling with that one right now, Ron, as you know. Lots of people in the community think I should remove myself from every single discussion about land and zoning and that. But as Greg's kind of point, thank you, Greg, for that one, actually. So yes, it's a struggle. I'll know when to recluse myself, that's for sure. Any other comments or questions? All right, if not, then we'll move on to the next item, and that's the review of current status of economic action plan. Mr. George, you have a report for us, and I guess everybody got the information that Will sent out. So, Will, take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Councillor Luck. So I'm just going to give an overview of this report that was included here, just a review of the Economic Development Action Plan here, and a breakdown of the projects within it. So on the first page, you'll see an overview of the Economic Development Action Plan. What's on each page is the meat and potato of it, is the recommendations and implications there from page 21 to 61. Oh, I see Bev waving there. Yeah, good. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so from page 21 to 61 in the Economic Development Action Plan, there are 5 key areas and 27 strategic actions. So overall, all of the recommendations in the City of Merritt Economic Development Action Plan have been explored. Some projects are currently ongoing, while others have been completed over the last 5 years. Myself, I joined the team at the City of Merritt in 2015, so we do have files of what was completed prior to my arrival. This plan was completed in 2014-15, so I'll be able to speak on what we completed to date since 2015, and overall it's great. This was a staff report as well that came forward, I believe it was last year, to council, going over the economic development action plan, and council was curious as well how much of this has been completed. So I'm pleased to share that the majority of it has been completed or is ongoing. So I'll just go through each item here in just briefly to give the status of it and provide a little bit of information. And feel free to stop me if there's particular questions on it or you're looking for more info. So jumping into number 1, the economic development capacity. So 1.1 is looking at the Economic Development Committee, and as everyone on the Economic Development Committee is aware, this is ongoing. Just a little bit of background information here. During the 2014 election, it was reestablished in 2016. After the 2018 election, it was reestablished in 2021. I was just asked if I can put this on the screen to share, so I can do that, just so everyone can see what I am presenting here. Just 1 second.
Good, thanks, Will.
Yeah, not a problem. And then you realize how many tabs are open. Okay, and Councillor Luck, can you just give me the A-OK? You can see my screen there?
I can, everybody else can? Good.
Perfect. Now, I think as Sean mentioned when
Sorry,
he was,
can you make that bigger?
Yeah, that was the next thing. Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah,
how is that?
or supply magnifying glasses, one of the two, thank you.
That's a little bit better?
How's that, Margaret?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
good.
too much.
Thanks,
Okay,
Will.
there we go. Now, I can't see the committee members as I'm going through this, so Councilor, maybe you can just interrupt me if there's any questions.
Yeah, I can't see a lot of hands either, so you might just have to speak up if you need to ask a question, okay? Because I can't see everybody either, so okay. We'll be orderly.
Sounds good. And I'll take breaks after each of the 5 sections here, just if there's any questions on those sections.
That works.
Okay, so we left off 1.1, the Economic Development Action Committee. So that's ongoing as we meet here today. 1.2 is the Economic Development and Small Business Accord. So this has been completed in 2018. We had the Colin O'Leary with O'Leary Consulting completed the business license review report, and that looked at both internal and external review of the process of doing business. Now, the actual Small Business Accord was established in around the 2014 when this plan was created, and since then there's been additional resources and different programs that are now available. So the actual Small Business Accord wouldn't be the program that we go to for provincial support there. So,
Will, can you take a minute? Maybe can you update us on the mobile businesses licensing? Is that part of that section as well? I would think. Yes,
of course. So the mobile business licensing and the inter-community business license were both part of this business license review report. And we have information on the website, as well as we've created a brochure for the next steps for this to implement it. And it's very exciting because where we are in Merritt, we're able to take advantage. I think the most out of anywhere in the province with the intermunicipal business licensing, because there's we can be a part of 3 different ones instead of most communities that just belong to their region. So we're participating in that, as well as the mobile business licensing that's available, and overall reducing red tape processing, making sure it's easier. We took this business license report and changed both internal processes and how we deal with businesses looking to start up in the community.
Can I just interject for a moment there as well?
Thank you, Sean. I was going to ask you if you had some good news on that front for us.
So two things that I want to say with that. I'm not going to presume that everybody has a deep and intricate understanding of business licensing generally, but intermunicipal business licensing in particular. You guys will be familiar that to get a business license, you go to the municipality in order to operate a business in that community. But the province has now set up these intermunicipal business licensing regimes where there are a group of communities. So let's take the Okanagan-Similkameen as one example that will run from Salmon Arm all the way down through Vernon to Kelowna to Penticton and West Kelowna and all of the communities in between, and say that if you buy that one intercommunity business license, if you're a mobile business, you have the opportunity to do business in all of those communities. And what Will is referring to when he says that we're part of 3 different groups is we are part of that Okanagan-Similkameen one, so we have access to all of the Okanagan communities. We're part of the Thompson-Nicola regime that we were actually instrumental in helping get started, that has Kamloops and many of the surrounding smaller communities in the TNRD. And then we're also part of the Fraser Valley one that doesn't go all the way down to kind of the heart of the mainland, but we have Abbotsford and Chilliwack and Kent, and I believe it even includes Langley and some of the more fringe municipalities. Yeah, so the short of it is we are much more open for business. We don't have nearly so much red tape, and that was one of the major things that I think council heard during the 2018 election. And so our processing times have gone up drastically, our costs have gone down, and we've really freed up a lot of options for business. So not that there aren't a whole bunch of other things to work on, but I think that particular aspect of businesses is light years ahead of where we were.
Fantastic. Thank you for that update. Anybody have a question on that? If not, we'll carry on, Will.
Perfect. So moving on to 1.3, facilitate economic development training for local leaders. So we put this status as completed. We usually host the economic development workshops for new council, and this was brought forward in March 2019. Unfortunately, council felt it wasn't the right time to provide this workshop, but we do have more involvement at the BC Economic Development Association. Myself, I sit as a board member on the association, so we're sitting at more of those tables and more of those regional collaborations. And the staff at the BC Economic Development Association said anytime that council is ready, they're able to come and provide additional economic development training for our local leaders. Moving on, so that is all of number 1. Did anyone from the committee have any additional questions on anything from part 1? Okay, I don't hear.
Sorry, well, I had one question. So that is the last point, or 1.3. You're talking about training for local leaders. Is that for any business person that would like to be a part of that training? Is that, or is it just elected officials?
So this training that they put on is just for elected officials. They have a variety of different training sessions for business retention, business attraction for businesses. But this one here is just to facilitate the economic development training just for our elected officials there.
Okay,
Will,
thank you.
Could you inquire to see if we could sneak committee members into that if we cozied up real nice?
I'm sure we could.
That would be awesome.
I think that might be a good opportunity because again, it's about just making sure everybody has the same information.
Yeah, for sure. We should. And having said that, Sean, is maybe we should look at doing that sooner than later as well. Maybe if that could happen. Yeah,
and if there's a desire from the committee, I can reach out to the Economic Development Association. We just finished the BC Economic Development Summit all last week. And so now they're recovering from that. So we can definitely reach out and see their availability to provide some training on this on this front.
Okay, thank you.
So Tony, if I may, Manuel here. So
Oh, hi, Memo.
the province of British Columbia, in partnership with Community Features British Columbia, are delivering some training regarding the community investment readiness. It's about understanding community investment readiness, preparing your investment for community for investment, providing business infrastructure, supporting existing businesses, as well as promoting your community and attract investment. So that is training open for everyone. So I can provide the details in an email later on.
That would that'd be really good. Just quick question going around the table quickly. Would a lot of our directors here around the table be willing or would like to take some of that training?
I would be interested.
Okay. Margaret?
I would be interested. Joanne?
Okay, Joanne, thank you. Yeah.
I'm interested. It's Bev.
Hi, Bev. Okay, sounds good. So it looks like we probably would have some interest there. So yeah, if we can follow up with Manuel on that training and Will, the other one, that'd be really good for the committee, I think. Oh yeah, okay. Good. Thank you.
Sounds good. So jumping over to number 2 here. Number 2 is a collaborative approach for real outcomes. So 2.1 is looking at the community accord. Status of this is ongoing. Just some notes here of to date, some of the projects that have taken place. So the City of Merritt has hosted the community to community forum programs for local governments and our local First Nations, both in 2018 and 2019. And just a summary on development applications, outreach, and projects within the Nicola Valley. Staff and council often coordinate and work closely with our local First Nation bands. And just a report here in fall 2019, a memorandum of understanding between Upper Nicola, all of the bands in the area, as well as the TNRD and City of Merritt was brought forward, but unfortunately that wasn't finalized. So that's still being worked on. I'm not sure, Mayor Brown, I see you in the camera there. Did you want to comment anything on that, or?
Just that I think we had issues with, one of the bands had an issue with just issues in general that they had to, they weren't ready to jump in and sign. Everyone else was ready to jump in and sign. So what we're looking at is if we can't get them all at once, we will get them individually and go to each band and have a memorandum of understanding with each individual band. We already have the understanding with Thompson-Nicola Regional District.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Brown. So 2.2 resident surveys. So the City of Merritt, along with community partners, have completed annual business walks. There was lots of outreach with the business license survey, the official community plan engagement. So every time that we go through a report or a new study, we engage with residents on that. There hasn't been a standalone resident survey completed, but as I mentioned, there's been lots of community outreach on some of these recent projects. So we put this as ongoing because this is a constant feature whenever we do something new, whenever we're looking to update some plans or create a new one. We talk to our business owners, we talk to our residents, we talk to the community as a whole there. 2.3, the communications plan, and this is marked as completed. During the 2021 budget, Council is reviewing hiring a communications coordinator, and a City of Merritt communications plan was completed in August 2020. And I will note all of these items that are in this report, everything that's blue, that's all hyperlinks. So the communications plan is there. I believe it was sent out to the committee already, and it breaks down a full plan, all the platforms that the city uses, and the relationship that we have with local media, external organizations, a full communications plan, and we are currently implementing that, putting staff time, allocating that towards different communication campaigns for most projects that we do. So it's great to have that. 2.4, the Economic Development Roundtable. And status of this is ongoing. So the City of Merritt meets regularly with community partners, as the ones listed here: Community Futures, Chamber, Work BC, NVIT, and whenever we're working on local projects, sharing resources, continue to meet to talk about these projects. Supporting NVIT, so that's ongoing as well. just listed a couple items here. I believe it was mentioned as well at the previous Economic Development Committee meeting, some of the partnerships that we've had around the involvement and coordination for some of these, the official community plans, development within the Nicola Valley, looking at labor market updates and keeping those conversations open, course opportunities, partnerships on new developments, as well as the City of Merritt's partnered with NVIT on their culinary arts program, co-op and practicum placement students, and around utilizing the great knowledge that they have with their Elders Council there at NVIT.
And Will, if I can add, one of the things we do when developers do come to town and tell us that there's really not enough contractors here, or there's really not enough whatever to help them in their business, what we say to them is talk to NVIT and get a program going, because NVIT is open to looking at other opportunities. So we do that.
I was looking over at Bev on that one saying, I wonder if there's a more direct link we could have to connect somebody with here.
Perfect. Excellent. Bev, did you want to comment anything on that, or are you good from the NVIT perspective?
Thanks, Will. I appreciate the offer. I absolutely, NVIT is open to developing new programs if we need them. I'm just in the process of building a medical office certificate to complement the office admin, and they do have the automotive. So that's all we take. All it needs is just a suggestion, and we definitely pay strong attention to what the city has to say, and really pleased to be partnering with you. One of the other things that I wanted to mention too about the housing, Ken had mentioned to me last year that NVIT was looking at building, adding on to our dorms, and so that was another. So because we do know that if we did have more housing here, it would certainly help for the students as well, with the families especially. But that's it. Thank you.
Are your dorms already at capacity as it stands?
They are, and sometimes we even, residents will come in, Trans Mountain workers and stuff like that, but priority is for the students, and we're really noticing, we did do a reno last year, but we're really noticing that it's actually families, it's not just single students that are coming in. And so that's, I think when Ken approves the development for the new section, definitely it will accommodate more families. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good comments, Bev. Thank you.
Excellent. And if I can just comment on the housing topic that we're talking about here. I'm not sure if all of the committee members has seen the new housing needs report, but staff can send that out to the committee afterwards. That was just brought forward and approved by council, and it's a great document for us to have in partnership with the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. So that can be provided afterwards to the committee as a resource.
That's a great comment, Will. Yeah, Linda, you'll take care of that for us, will you? Send that out to every committee member. I think that's part of that, one of those tools in that toolbox that we need for them to make good decisions on. Good suggestion,
Yes,
Will.
that will be distributed.
Thank you.
Excellent. Jumping over to 2.6. So this is to pursue expansion and retention of merit-based forestry operations. So status of this is ongoing. Just have a little bit of background here. The city engages with Tokol and Aspen Planers on land use opportunities. I won't go into this too much because Sean did talk about this at the start of our meeting. Just that we are continuing to meet with Aspen Planers, meet with Tokol, and discuss those opportunities. So that status is ongoing. Exit 286, a similar project. This can have lots of exciting benefits for our city and some good job opportunities there, some development. So just a bit of a background here. I wanted for all of these items to prepare for the committee where we have been, where we are, and the status of this. So this one's ongoing. The visitor center, the provincial visitor center, closed January 2018. Since then, we've been working with the province, and I'm sure some of the committee members saw that we've secured the garbage cleanup at the site for $30,000 to cover the cost of cleanup there. And right after the closure, we worked directly with the visitor center for signage, and we're working with our local Indigenous bands and the private landowners around the development opportunities there, permitting, land use agreements, and services on the site. So that is continuing for ongoing for the status. 2.8. So this is the Merit Youth Leap program. The status of this program ongoing. The Merit Youth Entrepreneurship Program was established in 2018. The program ran from 2018 to 2020 and is being reviewed for 2021. And this is a great partnership program. I always share this when I'm talking with colleagues around building youth entrepreneurship. So working closely with Manuel at Community Futures on the committee here, as well as the school district, to offer seed funding. So we were able to receive a grant in order to put money into the hands of youth in our communities to start their own businesses and to provide those resources for them to learn about entrepreneurship. So I think to date we've had approximately 200 students, give or take, go through the program, which is excellent to see that. And oftentimes there's been a summer and a winter intake. So that's everything for number 2. Was there any questions on any of those items in category 2 before I move on to 3? I see Bev has her hand up there.
Well, I'm just wondering, with regard to the Merit Youth Entrepreneur, have you invited or have you talked with them about this committee, the people that have gone through, that have been successful and maybe started up a business with that age group? Because we seem to be all, you know, like if we had some youth, I think it would be really a great idea. Just their voice is so important. Yeah,
that's a great idea. We haven't reached out to them yet, but I think there could be opportunities there. We had the youth committee with the City of Merritt, so making sure that, you know, our youth are involved and aware of some of these you know, committees that we're doing. So haven't yet, but great suggestion.
A great suggestion, Bev. Well, just before we move on, we're getting close to 4 o'clock, and I think the thought was that we'd be going for an hour, but it looks like we're going to be going a little bit later, probably about 4:30. Is everybody okay with going a little bit longer tonight?
I'm all right. Isla?
Okay.
I have to leave by 4:30.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So we'll carry on to 4:30. If you have to check out, we'll make sure you get the minutes and everything, obviously, and make sure of that. But hopefully you can stick around for another half hour. I thought there's a lot of meat here today, and we want to get through this, so that'd be really good. So thank you for holding in there. Go ahead, Will.
Can I ask?
The meeting was set for 3 to 5. That's what I have in my calendar.
Oh,
That's what I wanted to double check on. Was 4:30 is just fine if that's what we need to do, but if that's the case, we should probably move to the roundtable a little earlier, and we can split this in 2. If it's 5 o'clock, we could probably keep running.
Oh, okay, good then. Sorry, for some reason I didn't see the 5 o'clock and I missed that, so I'll take everything back I just said. We'll carry on. Thanks, everyone.
And as well, you know, all the information was sent to the committee beforehand. So if it's easier and people feel comfortable with the information in front of them, you know, there's 3 more sections here, but we can just go through if people have questions, and then staff can answer those instead of me going through each one. So all depends on how you'd like to handle it as the chair there, Councillor Luck.
I think if everybody's okay, we'll just carry on the way it is, and then questions pop up as they do. How's that, Will?
Excellent. Sounds good. Any other questions on category 2 before I jump into 3? Okay, I see some heads shaking there. So, category number 3, keeping Merritt as a vibrant and competitive community. So the first one here, 3.1, investment readiness, a self-assessment. So staff has put this as an ongoing for the status, and a new investment ready community profile is currently being created. The last one was created in 2015. The hyperlink is there, and you can see that it needs to be updated. We're working with the province and our team here at the city to update that, and looking forward to being able to present that out. Oftentimes we hear that before anyone talks to the city about moving, they've already done all their research. So making sure that we have lots of public facing documents, lots of materials, and we'll be talking about what some of those materials look like in the later part of this committee meeting, and some examples there. 3.2, making it easier to do business. Status of this we put as ongoing, and just to come full circle on this, the business license review, this was a large portion of that, looking at what we need to change internally, how we need to make it easier for people to obtain business licenses and do business within the City of Merritt. There was lots of recommendations that we heard from our consultant and from the community partners that we engaged with in 2018, and we continue to implement those to date. This, along with the new City of Merritt website, our updated business permits, forms, and ensuring that the information that we're putting out, we continue to take those recommendations we hear. You heard Sean talk about how when Barkman had particular suggestions, we took those into account and make sure that we're always adjusting and shifting as needed. 3.3, Marketing the Tax Exemption. So, and this one as well, Sean did mention that we're bringing this forward and council is reviewing this, about removing this and having more of a competitive industrial tax rate. And particular, if we change the revitalization tax exemption, we could potentially have it more focused on a target audience. 3.4, business retention and expansion. This one as well ongoing. There isn't a conclusion to this. We continue to work on this. Just put here the Business Walks program, 2015 to present. And we have had these virtually with different community engagement, business engagement, and we continue to monitor this information around how our businesses are doing, expansion opportunities for our businesses, and making sure that we have customized programs and supporting our local businesses that we have here. Mayor Brown.
And if I can just mention that I think that's as important as looking for new business, is trying to retain and enhance the current business that we already have in the city.
100%. So before this call this morning, I was on a conference call with economic development professionals across North America, and we were talking about the business retention, supporting your local businesses. The mindset 20 years ago was chasing smokestacks and just focusing on attracting that large employer that can bring in a couple hundred jobs, but the chance of your community having that, you spend a lot of staff time just doing that. So targeting those smaller businesses that can diversify the economy, and really focusing on strengthening what you already have and looking to see where you can add one additional job here, looking to see about clustering businesses together and utilizing what we have already strengthened. So thank you, Mayor Brown, for mentioning that. Going on to 3.5, so support the home-based businesses. This was also mentioned in the business license review. We had particular language in our zoning bylaw and our official community plan that was more negative. It didn't encourage the home-based businesses having multiple businesses at one operation. So we do have, we've updated some language, and we're really encouraging, especially now during the time of COVID, when we have a huge influx of people that are looking to relocate out of the Lower Mainland, and really pulling on that strength and the language that we're using in our marketing materials reflects on supporting that you can have that lifestyle work balance, and supporting the growth of home-based businesses. Going on to 3.6, so this is the land and building inventory. Great project here. Status is ongoing because even when it is created, it constantly needs to be updated. This was incorporated into our GIS system. So our mapping system that we had here, we were able to secure a grant, apply for some grant funding in order to do a new GIS system. And we keep track of all available land zones. I highly encourage you to give it a look on the City of Merritt website under mapping, and shows all of the different information there. We're constantly updating that, and the goal at the end of the day is to have a system that when a new hotel, for example, is looking to come to Merritt, we can send them a link that is tailored to what land is zoned correctly, what land is available, and all of the information there that is customized. We're looking at some much larger municipalities that currently do this, and ensuring that Merritt punches above its weight class to provide these services. 3.7, First Impressions Program. We do have new packages that are available for residents and businesses, and oftentimes our front desk staff here at City Hall or with our community partners are talking to folks about, they're looking to move to the community, or we hear before they get a business license, they're considering moving to Merritt. So we provide welcome packages, and I think it was brought up as well at the last committee meeting around having the welcome wagons, having the committee take an active role in welcoming new members to the community. And I think that would be great. The more hands that we have on deck, the more that we can outreach and really change that narrative that some people have about Merritt. So making sure that everyone feels welcome, and we're really putting out the red carpet there, right? 3.7, a customer leakage study. This ongoing as well. You'll notice a bit of a trend here of projects ongoing. And there has been various surveys that have gone out around where people are going for different business supplies and products. And we saw this in the business license review. We heard this in the zoning bylaw. So we use this as some common business themes when people are looking to relocate their business around some of those results there, and to use that to help list our priority business sectors that we target for business attraction. 3.9, so this is Small Town Love, the program. Status update is ongoing. So the actual Small Town Love program is only through Northern Development Initiative Trust. This is the organization that I previously worked for prior to coming to the city of Merritt. So as soon as I started here way back when, I reached out to them to see if we can duplicate their program, or they can expand their program into our boundary. Unfortunately, it's just a Northern Development program, but we can, of course, develop our own Shop Local program, our own Small Town Love version of that. And there are some very exciting programs coming up with our local partners and with ETSI-BC, which is the Southern Development Initiative Trust, that we can talk about, the Small Town Love type of program and Shop Local. Mayor Brown, I'm not sure if you wanted to comment anything with ETSI. You sit on the board, or if you're fine.
Well, I think there are 2 programs available, I think, right away, that we can apply for COVID relief kind of projects at this point. And as of, I think, March 8th, we have just had the name change to ETSI-BC. So we are now putting out the programs, looking for applications.
That's correct. And the name change is great. Brand new look, brand new branding, everything like that. Their website launches April 1st there. And the 2 programs that Mayor Brown was speaking about, we have a deadline the end of this week. So in 2 days for some capacity building. And we're looking at some of the projects that the Economic Development Committee is looking for around updating this plan and a couple other COVID recovery projects. And then there is a deadline for I believe the following week, next week, around some strategic planning building around economic development. So we'll keep the committee informed on that, but it's excellent to see that that ETSI-BC is shifting a little bit. They did lots of consultations, so there could be a Small Town Love version similar to Northern Development that comes in the future. They're shifting to the needs of the communities.
So Will, this is Manuel here. Are you talking about the Rural Business and Community Recovery Program that is coming for the deadline?
Can you repeat the name of the program?
Rural Business and Community Recovery Program.
Yes, there's that one, and there's also the Rural Advisory Program. So that one, the Rural Advisors, is due before the one that you mentioned there.
Okay, for the first one, yeah, there is for the first intake, yeah, the deadline is coming soon, but there is going to be a second one, and I think that there is an opportunity for the city to apply for.
Excellent. Good.
And the last point here on number 3 is 3.10. So this is art and vacant storefronts. This was listed in the economic development plan. Status of this is ongoing. Just a little bit of background. I believe the group was called the Lilac Conspiracy Group. So they were involved in this initiative before around putting local art and local, features up in some vacant storefronts. Staff has talked with different community members and organizations about running a similar program, and there is a level of interest in working with the city, working with individual property owners. Just comes down to having some funding available for supplies, and the city can act as a bit of a liaison between the property owners and the nonprofits that could support with this, since we have an updated inventory of all of our empty storefronts. So that's everything.
And is there a possibility that we could change the name of their group?
I'm sure that we can work with the organization to have something different. This was just the group that was heavily involved with it before. I'm sure folks that have been in Merit for a little bit longer can share on that one. But
I got your attention, Mayor.
So that's everything for number 3. I'll stop for a sec if there's any questions on any of the items in section number 3. I see, Ron, you went off mute. Did you have a question on that?
Not really. I don't see much of this going on. And this has all been going on for years. So seeing it hit the ground, I guess, is what's important, because I don't see it. And so far, I don't know what's coming up next, but the downtown improvement downtown improvement, is that included in this here?
So this is just going through all of the items in the Economic Development Action Plan. So I don't think there's a section just on downtown. I believe that's mostly focused on the city center plan, but some of these items have downtown involvement, right?
Okay, well, the city's involved with art and empty storefronts. That seems like a bit of a stretch. That should be someone else doing it, but yeah. So I guess, will that happen, do you think? Who's going to drive that? How's that going to actually come about?
Yeah, so I can answer that, unless Councillor Luck, you wanted to comment on that. I saw your.
No, go ahead, Will. I'll make a comment after.
Yeah, so this overview today is just to show the committee in-depth details of what has been done with the Economic Development Plan to date, and then it's completely up to the committee of if they would like to continue with these projects, or if they would like to update the Economic Development Plan, keep some of these in, or change the overall Economic Development Plan and have new priorities for economic development. So this is just since the plan was created 2014-15, what's been done to date, background information, and then it will be brought forward. And I believe the next item after we go through this is the committee's priorities and what committee members feel should be the top priorities if we are to update it or if we are to continue forward with these. So hopefully that answers your question there, Ron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the next piece, Ron, is we're going to have a roundtable discussion about that. What we can bring out. Where's the low-hanging fruit? Let's get some things. Let's get some stuff happening in the community. So just hold your thoughts till that piece, Ron. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Perfect. Any other questions on number 3 before we move on to 4? And there's 5 total. So okay, I don't hear any. So number 4 is increase awareness. So looking at the community profile, similar to number 3.1, I already mentioned that a new investment-ready community profile is being created. Last one, 2015. So this is ongoing and to be developed. 4.2 is the website, and this has been completed. So just a bit of an overview on this one. The city created in, I believe it was 2016 here, the tourism website, Tourism Merit, and that was created and managed in-house through our Economic Development Department. We don't have a separate economic development website that has been reviewed in the past, but staff felt that there wasn't a need for additional time and resources into a separate website, while right now our Economic Development Department maintains the tourism, Claybank's the General City website, and we just created a brand new city website and updated all of the department's individual sections on there. I believe that was last year as part of the communications department creation and development of the communications plan. 4.3, so this is external awareness, and this really feeds into what we were talking before about the image of Merit and looking at our local ambassadors and the role that the committee can take into the welcome packages, the welcome wagon type approach. We do have some ongoing projects, and the status of this is ongoing. Support of organizations like NVIT with their co-op and practicum students. We have the Summer Tourism Ambassador Program, and staff and council regularly attend conferences and meetings to showcase the community, preparing some of the materials that we'll be talking a little bit about later here. 4.4, the attraction of immigration investors. So this is ongoing, and the city participates along with community partners in the BC PNP program, the provincial nominee program. Right now, just talking with the province, we're around third for all communities involved for the number of inquiries and letters of referral. So this is a great program. We've had quite a few foreign entrepreneurs interested in the city of Merritt. We have our first one who will be setting up shop, a sewing shop here in town. They've received their work permit, and they should be setting up within the next month. And we do have about 14 letters of referral that have been provided by the City of Merritt BC PNP Committee for entrepreneurs to go through their interview with the province to hopefully receive their work permits. And the goal is for them to set up businesses around our priority sectors here shortly. 4.5, the familiarization tours. So this ongoing as well, and we host a minimum of 2 familiarization tours each year, targeted around media, business development, and those are really focusing on not only we're sharing our story out about why Merritt is a great place to move to and to develop your business, but it's even more beneficial when other people tell our story. So we host those and bring in guest media and business development organizations. That's the end of number 4. Is there any questions on section 4 before I move on to number 5, tourism? I don't hear any, so I will jump over to number 5. So tourism, the 5th and final section here, a 5.1 coordinated tourism board. So this is ongoing, and the city is working with community partners around discussing a MRDT, or a municipal regional district tax, and restructuring a tourism model in Merritt. In November 2019, the city staff, along with the Merritt and Nicola Valley Destination Marketing Society, brought forward a presentation, which is hyperlinked here, for review and discussion. So we continue to work with our tourism stakeholders to discuss that MRDT as well as a restructured tourism model. 5.1 is the asset inventory. So this was completed in December 2018. It's linked here in the report. And this is a tourism asset inventory and report used for not only business attraction, but also to show where we are for tourism businesses in the Nicola Valley. And this is updated annually here. 5.3 around signage. So although the status is completed here, there's always additional room for signage, and for our business walks, this is brought up regularly if businesses want additional opportunities for signage. So in 2016, the city completed the wayfinding strategic strategy, and implementation of the signage identified in here was completed in February 2018. Completed in 16 for the plan, 18 for the physical infrastructure for signage. And there has been some additional signage put up in partnership with the chamber and local businesses up on DeWolf Way. And that's great to see. We continue to build on that. 5.4, and I believe this is, the last one here.
Last one.
The adoption and implementation of the draft tourism plan. So this is completed in the 2013-2014 tourism plan, was accepted as a guiding document in November 2013. What we usually see talking with colleagues in economic development and tourism is these plans need to be updated every 5 years. So we're discussing the economic development plan, but this tourism plan, feeding off what the tourism asset inventory report has for action items, this should be updated as well, and looking at that coordinated tourism approach. So this is all of the items identified, a bit of a breakdown in the economic development plan, and I'll go back to on the second page of this report. You know, there's 5 key areas, 27 strategic actions. This plan is one of the guiding documents that we have here for economic development, working with the age-friendly plan, working with the zoning bylaw, working with the official community plan. And we had the chance to go through the whole plan, provide some of the background information for the committee. And I can go through if there's any additional questions that committee members have around any of the items in here. But as I mentioned, there's all of the items here have been explored to different extents here. So I'll leave it at that and turn it back over to you, Councillor Luck.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate that. That's take a rest there for a minute, take a break. That's a lot of information that we got to, and that's a fairly extensive update of what's been going on. I think what we want to do now is move into a general roundtable discussion about this. Ron, you had some thoughts there as well of what's happening in the community or what hasn't been happening. So we'd certainly like to take that now and just take some time and just do a general round. I think when the agenda was sent out, we said if everybody could bring at least 2 ideas about what they'd like to see and move forward with. And I think what we want to do is find some low-hanging fruits, some things that we can really sink our teeth into and get happening in our community. So I think what we'd like to do is just general comments about the information that Will gave us, and then any information or any thoughts you'd like to do as we move forward with this committee and how we'd like to see that. So I'm basically opening up for a general discussion now on the economic plan and how we see this committee working with that plan, especially with a lot of the ongoing items. So we can, is it Sean?
Yeah, I just wanted to add as well, of course, this is the economic development plan. There is the city center plan. And I think a lot of this is going to be around how are we going to integrate and revise and update the two. And so we would really hope that the committee would be actively involved in that process. Because I can tell you from my experience, I hate having multiple plans that are covering the same thing. I would really like to synthesize plans and not just synthesize those individual plans. How does that connect with our official community plan? How does that connect with our active transportation plan and some of the other plans that we have in the city? And so I think that that's something that I really hope that this committee will be actively involved in assisting us in developing is how can we refine and update those plans with the current trajectory.
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. So would anybody like to start the discussion? Ron, you had some thoughts there?
I do have some thoughts, and most of you know I've been at this for a long time, and I've been involved with a lot of these plans. But when I see stuff 13, 14, 15, you know, and nothing's really been done, or it's ongoing, but is it really? I don't see it, very much of it. It's actually hitting the ground. I see some signs got done and stuff like that, but back, and I'm going to forget the year, but when the core, I guess, purpose of our projects when we were working in the downtown area with the Walk of Stars and the Music Fest group and that was to improve the downtown. Like, I always felt that if we don't have a vital downtown area that you can take your mother-in-law or your cousin to for a meal or to brag about it and be proud of it, it's hard to have a real community. And so that's what that city center board plan and all of those groups that we had working together back then that was the focus. And it is economic as well, because people don't want to move here if they don't have a proper community that they're happy to be in the downtown area is pretty sad as far as trying to promote the community and people still live here and they go to Kamloops to go to movies and restaurants and stuff, but that's not really. Our whole focus was on that downtown area to improve it. So, and that brought in everything from tourism to traffic to signs to it was all in that community, that city center plan. So that's an economic thing in my opinion, and it's been dropped. We went through some elections. it was all kinds of things happened. The music fest went broke and started up again. And so there was all kinds of things that impacted it. But meanwhile, we're back to square one as far as I
So
can.
Ron, I think I'll ask every member this. Have you got from your discussion there, have you got maybe a couple of ideas you think that this committee should focus on then to yourself? Did you think of something like, okay, the downtown, that's a huge project. Is there a couple of little things that we could peel off out of your discussion there that you might want to see happen?
You'd go into the city center plan and have a look at it. I'm thinking little things. We were going to put a coyote as a symbol for indigenous people that we have here, and we had it started, and there was money, and it was supposed to go in the square, and there was going to be a coyote rock, and it was just one of those things that got dropped out of the plan. Money was there, and the fountain was going to have salmon in it, and that was going to be to beautify the downtown. Have something. There isn't anything you can stand beside and take a picture of. You have to go down to do that. So
okay, Ron. No, we'll give some other people a chance. Mm-hmm.
But it's important to get people in Tolko's yard. It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's where these jobs are. That Barkman thing is just a gift from heaven for merit.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect job.
We can talk about that a little bit more. Thanks, Ron. I'm going to go to Kurt, just in the interest of time. Kurt, I saw your hand up next.
Yeah, I just top priorities. I kind of building on a bit what Ron was talking about. I really think that we need to work on our downtown revitalization, work on the stores and so on. The Roger Brooks series had a lot of good suggestions that I think that we can build on. We need to be, we're back there again. Okay, Roger Brooks. We need to be people-friendly downtown for things to people to do. And so we need to have some entertainment options down there as well. Give people a reason to use our businesses downtown to stop some of the leakage that goes out. I think we've made a start on being business-friendly, but I think we need to be a little bit more specific on what kinds of businesses that we would like to attract in the downtown area. And then I threw in a third one is we really need to work on our airport development. So those are 2.5 things that I thought that were really important.
I agree there, yeah. Okay, somebody else would like to speak up with their couple of ideas, comments? Mm-hmm.
If I could just mention for the downtown, there was a staff report, and Ron, you might find this beneficial, around the city center improvement plan. I just had a look, and that was brought forward to council, the staff report in September 2019. So I'm sure that we can send that out to committee members, just very similar to today, of an update of all of those projects, because council wanted to know the exact same thing of where are we on this plan? What has been accomplished to date? So if that would be valuable, we could send that out, and it provides a little bit of an update of all those projects, because there's lots of projects that were identified in that plan. So just wanted to see if that would be a valuable resource there.
Anything can help at this point, well, for sure. Mm-hmm.
It's Isla here, and I picked up from Joanne that at one time we had invited people from different parts of BC to come and visit here, and that we showed them around with their visit, advertising that. And I wondered if we could do it for a longer extended time, that we invite them for a season, that we it's a trip that they come, and within the time that we're advertising it, we're advertising our town for a winter visit, that the town gets involved in such a way that they promote themselves in plays and projects and lighting up the town for the season, not so much in Christmas lights, but in lights that are the colors of our town, and so that we twinkle in a very unique way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what as a destination for the 4 seasons. So we make that season that we created something that's happening for us that they can get involved in for that season in particular.
Oh, okay, good. Manuel, you had your hand up next.
I believe it was Joanne first, but I can go now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, don't sit back, Manuel. Joanne, sorry, you had your hand up first.
Hi, that's okay. I let Manuel go first. I'm going to apologize in advance to Ron because I think not that being the country music capital of Canada isn't important, but I think that because of especially COVID, the music fest, like we won't be having it. I think along with promoting the country music capital of Canada, I really think that we need to focus on other things for tourism to bring people in. Because I just don't think that, actually I feel for a long time now that it's not been a huge draw like it used to be back in the day. But I really think, yeah, we have so much to offer in Merritt and the surrounding area that I think we should definitely focus on other ways to bring people in. Thank you.
Good, Joanne, thank you. Manuel?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to start by saying that I'm here to provide some feedback. I don't have a vote. I am an ex officio of this committee, and I'm happy to participate. I would like to expand a little bit on Sean Smith's comment that how one plant is interconnected with the other plant, and I would like to encourage the committee to think beyond the city. I think that I appreciate the results, the things that have been done by the city, and I also recognize the results that other groups have accomplished. So let's talk about tourism. I think that the key component to make a difference right now is to work with other organizations that are working on similar goals. So somebody at the beginning of this meeting talked about tourism and how Experience Nicola Valley or Tourism Nicola Valley have won these achievements, right? So these awards. I think that's the goal. So there are other organizations working on the beautification of downtown. I think that we have to find the way that we can work together, that we can find a common ground, that we can all put all our heads together and achieve those goals. I think that is possible. I think that we have to analyze all the results that the city has provided, and I think I'm grateful for that. But there are other results from other organizations, and I think that it's time to work together. Thank you.
I can't agree with you more, Manuel. I think it is. This is one community. Sometimes we talk about the downtown, but this is one community. It's time that we work together and got some of these things accomplished together as a team. So I totally agree with you, Manuel. Thank you for your comment there. Who's next? Beverly, you next?
Hi. Well, I've got a couple things that I wanted to ask about. One of the things that I found is my mom was a prospector, and so I grew up with a little bit of mining knowledge. I'd like to know more about it, but I do have claims, and I've been looking at mineral titles online, and within this last few months, we've got staking right from West Kelowna all the way to our city limits. And then the other thing is, I've been talking to some of the ranchers that I know and asking them if they have their property, if they've got their property staked, because they only own the top 12 inches of their land. And so there's ranches that are right around here that the ranchers don't even know that their land is staked, and they've got there's actually, they're even being sold. Dwayne Twan's land right now is staked. There's 2 different companies on it, and I mean there's transactions that have gone on. Dwayne didn't even know that his property was staked. So I think that as a community, we have to look after everyone in the area and not just concentrate on Merritt. I think we have to be neighbor friendly. And I know that I've been looking at mineral titles online, and there's like out by Mammoth Lake, there's a lot of staking going on out there. So that's just one thing that I wanted to mention. I don't know if this committee would be involved or be able to help with that, but I just think that, you know, it's something that we've really got to protect ourselves and our neighbors that don't pay taxes within Merritt, but they're super important. The other thing is I wanted to talk about the chamber and how important I think a chamber is to a community. When I was living in Chase, I was a director of the chamber there as well. And I've noticed that it seems to be disjointed in Merritt, and it would be so wonderful to have it unified and all of the businesses excited and proud of Merritt. So I think that, you know, we really have to recognize something. We have to do something and help them, or, you know, and I know that Ryan's stepping down, but, you know, it's since I've lived here in Merritt, I think that the chamber has struggled. And so somehow we've got to help and get that regenerated and proud. And the other thing, one of my suggestions is I would love to see an indoor arena. I think for business, for tourism, and I think because we have so many First Nations bands close, if we could incorporate a powwow ground with that. There's powwows all over the States, and we are such a central area that I think that with rodeos and whatever else, we could use that 24/7 if we had an indoor arena. And it just really suits Merritt, I think, just because there's, you know, we are, I kind of think about it as I'm proud to be a cowboy town. So that's all I have to say.
No, some good comments there, Bev. Thank you. Anybody want to comment on that arena idea before we move on? Is that something this committee needs to, because what we're going to be doing here, we're having a roundtable discussion, but well, eventually we got to pull out a couple of priorities, right? And move with them in the next couple of years. So these are some good ideas that are coming up, how we're going to accomplish that. Harry, I think you're up next, unless and then Margaret. So we'll go with Carrie first, and then Margaret, if you're okay with that, Margaret.
The arena idea I know has been broached by lots of people and different nonprofit groups over and over and over again. Cost-wise, not going to go there. Idea-wise, it's definitely been brought up multiple times.
Yeah.
Different places, this spot, that spot, definitely would be good to add to the crown of the town.
Margaret?
Oh, yeah, I totally, you know, I've heard, even when I didn't live in Merritt, I heard about the indoor arena idea. And I know that there was a group, I believe, working on writing grants and things to get something like that going. And I think that that is a really great idea for the town. And we really do need to diversify. So I love that idea, Bev. And I agree totally with that. We need to synthesize all of these different groups and all the reports, and everything that everybody is working on, and try and come together. The other thing is the Chamber of Commerce. Absolutely, like, we really need a stronger Chamber of Commerce. And I know that they're working on revitalizing it. There has been a coordinator now hired for the Chamber of Commerce, and she's working really closely with NVIT, and she is supposed to be working with all the local businesses in the area, trying to revitalize the chamber and help connect the talent from the NVIT and from other universities too, if we don't have it, to our local businesses, because that is an issue for a lot of businesses, is that they can't find the people that they need. So hopefully this will help with recruitment options for a lot of our small businesses, and bring other things out there. Also, the revitalization of downtown. I mean, every town seems to be going through this, especially rural communities, our signage. We got to find a way to get people buying in to changing their signage, to, you know, the updated signs, and to get the artwork going like everybody's talking about. Like, we need some action on those things. And I don't know how we do it, but and you know, I know COVID has really been put a damper on things, but you know, when we had the farmers market last year, even during COVID, and we blocked off the street, that was so great. Like, we need to do more things like that to bring people out to our downtown. And the Friday nights, another fantastic opportunity, you know, to try and revitalize our downtown. And I love the idea about the winter lights and things that you were talking about too, and trying to bring more to our downtown throughout the year rather than just in the summertime. Anyhow, lots of things. I'm sorry, but yeah, the great ideas.
No, don't be sorry, Margaret. I think that's what we're trying to do, is do some brainstorming here and just see exactly what this committee can accomplish over the next year. So lots of good ideas there. We'll need 20 to pick out 2 or 3. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. No, good conversation. Carrie, you had your hand up still. Did you want to come back with something? Sorry.
Are you talking to me, Tony?
Yes, Carrie. Yeah.
Oh, no, Joanne. Joanne.
Oh, Joanne. Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, Carrie had her hand up too, but go ahead, Joanne, if you have another comment.
Yeah, I just forgot to mention, I sure would, and the locals, so many that I talked to, sure would like to see music in the park happening more so at the park.
Oh, music in the park?
Yeah, at Rotary Park. I mean, Spirit Square is great and all, but especially in COVID times, especially for families, they got the water park there. You can just spread out so much, and it would sure be nice to see that being utilized more so again. And just on the talk about revitalizing downtown, and I know I think people have talked about this lots, but making Colchana a one-way in the main core of town.
That's come up a number of times.
Just a walking area.
Right.
Yeah. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. No, thanks, Sean. Well, there's 2 things that I've got that have come out of Will's report here that I just want to pick up. That, you know, the couple of things that have that I saw right away. But these are probably a little bit higher level than looking at reading that. But certainly, business attraction is a huge one. I think I'd like this committee to maybe come up and think about is how do we attract businesses? You know, we got some pretty good brain trust around the table right now. Some really good business people in our community. How do we attract businesses? Sean has talked about earlier about tax incentives and things, and that what we can do on our side as a council and that. But what can we do as a business sitting around this table? How can we go about attracting businesses in this community? So I'm really, you know, looking forward, like Manuel with Community Futures, you know, which does good work there. But what does we as a business community do to attract our business community? You know, one of the challenges I think we do have is land availability. How do we make more land available? Those kind of things there. But I think I'd really like to see if this committee can work on, you know, coming up with some great ideas to help council and staff with how do we attract businesses. And the other one too is there was 3.7, you know, first impressions program. How do we fix the narrative for our town? And I think that's a huge one. I talked a little bit about that last meeting. But how can this committee find some way to fix the narrative about this town? Because as we mentioned last time, there's still some negative connotation out there about our small little town. And you know what, as I look at the stuff that staff is doing, what council's doing, and what individual business are, I'm really excited about the future of Merritt. There is some exciting things happening in our community. And I'll tell you, Barkman is just the start of it. And Barkman's is a story that we need to get out into the community. That's part of fixing that narrative. Are you kidding, Merritt? Look at what we've just done. We've attracted a business from Manitoba. They set up business here in Merritt. Why did they do that? Well, it's central. It's central. They can put their product here. Taxes are decent. You know, land costs, all those things. But we've got to try to put that narrative together and fix the whole narrative and really be positive about our community moving forward. That's how we attract businesses, and that's how we improve in it. So I'm hoping maybe that this community can look at being more positive in the community and really finding ways to attract business through the positiveness that's exuded from this committee. So that's just a couple of ideas that I had off of the report that we had. Mayor, would you like to say a couple of words?
Yeah, I would. I think you mentioned business attraction, but I also think we need to look at business retention, and we have to do them together. And as we look at attracting, we still have to take care of our current business in town. And I think some of them are struggling through this COVID period. And I think it's important that we listen and understand. I wanted to mention one thing. I know it's easy for us to say, let's move the music in the park or move it down at the square. There's equally as many people who want it in the park as they do in the square. So it's really hard sometimes for us to say, well, let's put it here or let's put it there or wherever, because we've always got a group that is not happy with the decision we've made. And Kulshana One Way, there's a lot of private owners on that street. So we have to get their cooperation. Not that we can't do it, but right now we don't have that cooperation. We've talked about the one way for a number of years now. Two of the things I would like to really look at is enabling the Tolko site to be used for light industrial, but also the housing starts that we have. I think it's absolutely crucial to get both of those in play while still taking care of the little beautifying things, et cetera, et cetera. Not that they're not important, but I think we have to have the base in order to do that. And I think the same thing with the community partnerships. We keep talking about, well, let's work with the community partners. We're trying. We need community partners to also work with us. And it is us that have to provide the grants and the information to the public to justify some of the things we've done. And we really need these organizations to cooperate with us. And we will do our best to listen and accommodate. But to be honest, I'm not going to have an organization come and tell me how it's going to be. If they want to work with us, I don't have a problem with that. So that's one of the things I'm quite adamant about. The other thing is talking about music everywhere. We took our busking bylaw away because we wanted more music all over. We are no longer asking them to pay a fee to be able to busk or do whatever it is they do. So we're trying little bits at a time. And in terms of, somebody asked about Barkman. Barkman is the new industry that's going in south of the Tolko site across from Green Energy. They are a paver business. They make pavers and statutes and whatever they do. Statues, not statutes. They are well recognized across Canada as one of the better pavers across Canada. So they're a quiet company. They don't like a whole lot of flash, and I think they'll do well for us. I'm not sure what else to say, but I would love to be able to get something going with economic development. And those are my two top areas, is the Tolko site and the housing. Thank you.
Good, Mayor. Manuel, were you next? Did you have, your hand was up?
Yes. So I think that there are great items that people are discussing here. I think that we have to think about an economic recovery plan. So Mayor Brown mentioned, so our business community is struggling. Do you understand that for some of these businesses, COVID was a major impact, but for some others, they said, COVID did not have a negative impact on my business. It is the employee retention that I am after COVID, after these employees receive the benefits, the SERV benefits, I am unable to get that back, and I am unable to be open because of employees. There is no employees. I had a meeting with TOTA this morning. I had a meeting with other provinces last week, and everywhere else is the same. So people are having difficulties finding employees. So I think that it's very important to work on an economic recovery plan that I'm sure that we'll work in that before, but we have to put attention on that one so that we can help our current businesses.
Thanks, Manuel. Sean, I think you were next.
Thank you, Councillor Luck. I wanted to make one note, and really this comes from a lot of planning science, but there has been studies done across downtowns all across North America. And one of the invariably true things is that to have a vibrant downtown, you need to have people living downtown. And I think oftentimes this, at least looking through the history of the city of Merritt, there have been a lot of really good initiatives that have been implemented, but it's been more on the, how do we generate more activity if people don't live downtown, instead of how do we get people to the point where they're actually living downtown. And I say that because you need to have residual business traffic if you have any hope of having businesses where it's economically incentivized for them to be open later. And once you have businesses open later, that incentivizes people to come from the suburbs or from the further neighborhoods to come out, and like begets like. But what I really think that would be an important focus is what policy, what incentives, what could be done to further incentivize or encourage downtown residential development. And ideally that would be mixed use development where you have kind of lower floor commercial with upper floor residential. But again, this might be new age, but there is a lot of really strong data backing this, that vibrant downtowns are dependent on people living there. And I think that's one of the core elements that I just don't see here yet.
Yeah, we've got to work on that piece, and that's absolutely right. Kurt, did you have your hand up before? Sorry. Make a comment?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to make sure that people knew with Barkman's that when we say paving, that we're not talking about as such that they're paving blocks and concrete.
Paving stones.
Yes. So just to clarify that in case anybody panicked.
You had that discussion a few years ago, right?
we certainly did when we thought we were going to have a paving plant in the middle of town. So didn't want that to be confused.
Good. Oh, sorry, Isla, do you have your hand up there? Okay.
What Sean was saying about downtown and living downtown, I used kind of as a tool this last couple of weeks, trying to look through a child's eyes at our town. I noticed Merritt moms, and then I thought of the children and what they see, and it really is a good tool to go downtown with the eyes of a child, because they are our future. A child born right now, if we make our economic development plan now for the next 10 years, that child will be 10 years old. And that plan would have successfully be in place to accommodate that child to grow further. So that's a good activity. Go downtown and see your town through the eyes of a newcomer, a brand newcomer child.
Yeah, interesting comment. Great idea. All right, anybody else? Have I missed anybody? Anybody else want to come? I think we have a pretty good list of things that we need to hone down and everything. One thing I also want to emphasize here, if you thought you were just going to sit at this table and just listen in, and this is going to be a working committee. And so one of the things that we'd really like to see is if a couple of you would like to get together between now and the next meeting and talk about some things and generate some ideas, please don't be afraid to do that. Generate some ideas and bring them back to the meeting next week, and we'll see how we can hone these down. So I think we have a list, Linda. I think we got a pretty good list of some ideas there, do we?
Yes, we do, and I will condense that and I'll send it out.
Okay, and just because our meeting is going to end here in a few minutes doesn't mean you can't generate some more ideas. If somebody that didn't have anything to mention or anything, send those into Linda and we'll add those to the list as well so we can really hone this down. So I think next meeting we're going to spend some time maybe going over each of those things and see if we can pick a couple of items, as I said, low-hanging fruits that we can really get moving on, so we can see some progress in this community. One of the other things, I know signs came up a bit, and I know some of the businesses downtown now are actually getting blade signs up, which is really exciting. So, I mean, things are moving, probably not as fast as we'd like to see them move, Ron, at times, but I know there is a lot of things happening, but we need to stop that a little bit. Mayor Brown?
Just to let you know, when anybody refers to Linda, it's not me. They call me Mayor. Linda is
I'm
Linda
sorry, yeah.
Brick, and she's our corporate services person. So
You're just making sure that everybody knows we're not bossing Linda around. Is that what's happening here, Mayor Brown?
Yeah, you're not making, you're not taking the notes.
And I want to thank you very much, Linda Brick, for being right on top of that. Thank you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So any other comments before we?
I have a comment.
Yes, Ron.
I picked a wood tick off myself while I was sitting here.
What?
Yeah, so wood tick season's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my dogs had too. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yikes! Got to keep our eyes open for those. All right.
Yeah.
So I think, Mr. Smith, I think that was all we had for today. The roundtable discussion, everything. We're gone 2 hours. I think there was a lot of meat there to work with, and if we can work with that and be prepared for the next meeting, that would be fantastic. Like I say, don't be afraid. I really wanted this to be an active committee and ones who are out there looking for things. And if you wanted to get together and have some discussions on your own, I think eventually we'll have to do some breakouts and maybe a couple of subcommittees on this to work on individual items. But we're getting there. I think the next couple of years are really exciting. Really appreciate everybody and all their comments and everything. Well, you had one last comment?
Yeah, Councillor Luck, just on 3.6, that's the last item on the agenda. May I suggest that we move that to the next meeting? That's around the promotional materials. There is slides in there, but hopefully we can talk about that at the next meeting. And I know you wanted to talk about Barkman, talk about some of the detailed strategies that we're using around that business attraction, around the business retention. But I feel, you know, we've the meat and potatoes of this was around the roundtable, and we can get into that if that would be fine for you.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, any other last comments? If not, we'll call for an adjournment and we'll see you.
Next meeting date?
Yeah. Oh, Linda, do you have a next meeting date? Thank you, Mayor. I think
May 19th.
May 19th.
Sorry.
May or April? April.
We are in April, will be the next meeting, and it is April 14th.
April 14th. Excellent. Good. Well, thank you very much. There were some excellent comments there today, everyone, and really appreciate that. And that was fantastic. So until next time, see you around.
Okay. See you guys.
Enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good meeting. Have a good night.
See. Oh, hello. I'm trying to figure out how to save the meeting chats.
Oh,
how do I do that?
Yes, great job.
It does not fit.
Let me know if you need any of those reports.
I'll see if I can keep playing with it here.
Thanks, Linda. We get enough list there. I'm trying to generate. Come on, guys. It's always hard in a committee like that because I can think of all kinds of things here, but I want you guys to generate those ideas.
Yeah, so I'll take those, what everybody's kind of said, and I'll turn that into a list.
Yeah.
And send that out. as well as all of the other pieces that we're going to be sending out, is making notes on.
Yeah, if you can send that list a little bit sooner to me, I'm gonna sit down with Sean and see how we can get him to focus a little bit more on 5, see how we want to, what we want to look at for sure, because there's some pretty big items there, like an indoor arena. Well, that's a nice idea of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
Thanks, Councilor Luck.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Good update.
Lots of stuff and.
Lots of stuff.
Got lots of information.
Well, I hope so. I was hoping for a little bit more, better discussion on the roundtable piece and get some more ideas out of that.
What's your sense? So of these items, do you feel that the committee's ready to create a full new ECDF plan?
No,
or-
I don't think so yet. I think we're gonna have to go, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's hard because usually these need to be created every 5 years, updated every 5
Yeah,
years, but
yeah.
maybe they can start working on a couple, like even if it's 3 priorities.
Yeah.
Then they can focus on that because creating the ECDF plan is gonna take time. It's probably gonna take a year.